Today I'm standing here with John. He is the main guy at Barco and with MadVR. He's going to talk to you a little bit about achieving that great HDR experience.
Thank you very much. Happy to chat with you guys. We are showing a pathway to getting the real HDR experience in a home, not what happens on TVs, but what happens in a Dolby Cinema. So if you've seen a movie in a modern version like No Time to Die or Shang-Chi or Black Widow at a Dolby Cinema, and IMAX also does HDR rendering, you're seeing what they wanted you to see. That's the art created by the people who make the movies. There is a way to make that happen in your home with premium projection, and we're showing you that today at the CEDIA Tech Summit here in Dallas with Barco Bragi CinemaScope projector. It's a 5K 235:1 native projector, scope projector, and MadVR is doing the video processing to make the rendering of HDR automatic. So no matter what the content was mastered at, it will always look perfect. You can get that perfect image with the Barco by itself, but you've got to hit the right button because things are mastered at different mastering levels, 1,000 nits, 4,000 nits, 10,000 nits, and if you got the wrong match, a movie's dark or it's washed out and clipped, the complaints you hear from consumers all the time.
Right.
There is no disadvantage with projectors and HDR. In fact, the reference HDR image is a Dolby Cinema, and we're doing that in here today. So we're coming into a booth where we've got a couple of things going on. I've got the Barco Bragi 5K projector, and it is pointed at a Stewart Studio Tech 130 G4, and the screen is 5 feet high by 12 feet wide. We're doing 32 foot Lamberts on that screen. That happens to be the Dolby Cinema standard for theaters. It's 108 nits, which translates almost exactly to 32 foot Lamberts. So we're seeing the rendering, the light levels, the color gamut of Dolby Cinema. And this awful scene that you're pointed at right now, and this terrible moment in the life of the gladiator, is not a spectacular demo scene, but it looks like it looked in theaters. Over 20 years ago, this was one of the first movies that used computers to generate these special effects, CGI. And coming out of this misery that he's experiencing, he's going to go into a dream scene. And the dynamic range of something that was not shot in 4K, there were no digital cameras when this was made, it was film. Then they did digitally the special effects, which you're about to see. And rendering it in HDR, getting this content on discs, 4K Ultra HD discs, means we can see images in our homes that are literally better than what was seen in theaters 20 years ago on film. And you can go further back, all the movies that have been converted to our digital content. But look at the contrast in that dream sequence beginning, the rendering of that. It's just psycho good.
Yeah,
the experience, it is the movie. And this was shot on 35mm film. What was the digital, it wasn't even a 2K digital intermediate. They were using computers in that era to create these amazing scenes. So now this is a script going from the Strato. It's going to play this through and then it'll go on to the next thing. But what we're doing, and you can take a peek even at this laptop, where I've got buttons here for the different mastering levels that you find in Ultra HD content. And without the MadVR, I would have to pick the right button, the right profile, so that this content mastered 1,000 nits would look perfect. And it will be perfect, no different than we see with the MadVR in the chain. But if I put Blade Runner 2049 in, that is going to be washed out and clipped. I have a different profile to make that 10,000 nit movie look perfect. So basically they fall into buckets, low, medium, and high. And an integrator can automate that with a button that the user has access to. Put in a MadVR and you make it automatic. He doesn't have to hit a button. It does everything automatically. It renders, it looks at the actual luminance values of each pixel. That's why it's a 4U high computer, crammed with componentry and the fastest NVIDIA graphics card to allow it to do that. So it measures the pixel structure, it looks at the luminance values, and it puts that content where it belongs on the HDR gamma curve, if you want to call it that. There's a new name, EOTF, but as long as you know where the maximum light level pixel is, and you place that just under clip for your display, and then it follows the shape of the HDR gamma curve, perfection. You're doing what they do in cinema. And again, I said it before we hit record, but
this is a great demo
Dolby Vision is not a thing that happens in theaters. Dolby
Right.
cinemas use a file, a DCP they call it, and every frame has been created, edited, and locked down by the editor, the colorist, the cinematographer, and the director. Frame by frame, it's perfection. HDR10 is like that, and that's what projectors use. People say projectors have a disadvantage because they don't do dynamic metadata, Dolby Vision or HDR10 Plus. Not true. What they do is what cinema does. You set it up right, and you're seeing exactly what they wanted you to see when they created the movie, frame by frame, no variables, the dynamic range of this. If I can transition to the technology that makes it equal to a Dolby Cinema or an IMAX HDR rendering, it's the DLP technology, which is exclusive to cinema now. It's the only technology that's passed the standards that cinema require. And it is what Dolby Cinemas use, what IMAX uses. Barco DFX laser theaters in the Galaxy cinemas all use that, and they get that P3 color, that wide color gamut that we have on our Ultra HD content, and the dynamic range of the HDR curve if the content was rendered that way, and it's a unique experience. And you've got to go to a commercial cinema to see it, or you've got to have a setup like this in your home to duplicate it. And today we're duplicating cinema. We're not trying to emulate it, we're duplicating it. So what we're doing is just bringing that HDR content to the home cinema for the first time. And when people see it, they've not seen anything like it. And you guys build theaters and have been for years. We have had 3 revolutions in home theater to date. The first one started before the 2000s, when we had big pictures for the first time. Magazines like Audio Video Interiors focused just on these premium rooms, beautiful photography in this magazine. It was expensive. You were spending 6 figures to do a home theater back in the 90s. It was with CRTs, and we used to do 100-inch diagonal screens. Oh, how big is that? 60 by 80. And that was a fairly big screen in the day. This is 12 feet wide with one of our little projectors. The next revolution was widescreen, when Runco and Stewart Film Screen brought the CinemaScope format to home for the first time. That was 2003. Runco had a thing called CineWide. That was their mechanism using anamorphic lenses to do the scope format. And Stewart had CineCurve and VistaScope, the scope format screen. That was a revolution. We sold so many theaters based on the scope format from 03 to, say, 2010. Today, I think the HDR rendering of the image, along with immersive audio,
I think it's a bigger advancement than
is the biggest revolution. I call it the third home cinema revolution. And that was part of my talk in the seminar for the Tech Summit this morning. It is a revolution. And I say at the end, you got to show it. Showing it is selling it. And so it makes the home theater showroom important again. It's significant enough that you can have the old wine and cheese events and get customers to come out and see something like they've never seen before. And that's what it's all about. This is entertainment at its pinnacle for the home environment.